You did everything right. You bought the bike new. You read the service manual. You changed the brake fluid yourself. Correct fluid, correct interval, correct torque on every bleeder screw. Your 2023 BMW R1250GS stops perfectly. And then the check engine light came on. You grabbed the $15 OBD2 Bluetooth scanner that reads every car built since 1996. You plugged it in. The scanner saw nothing. BMW uses a proprietary 10-pin round connector. The tool was useless before it left the case. The nearest dealer quoted a $150 minimum just to read the code. The code was a loose fuel cap. The repair took 2 seconds. The diagnostic visit cost $150 for 5 minutes of computer time. With one amber light, your perfectly maintained motorcycle became a machine you are no longer qualified to diagnose. Not because the repair was complicated, because the software is locked. But smart riders found the bypass. For $118 and one afternoon, they built a diagnostic setup that does what the $16,000 dealer terminal does. Today, we are covering every tool, every brand, and exactly why the manufacturers want this information buried. Here is what happened to your motorcycle. It did not happen overnight. It happened regulation by regulation, model year by model year, software update by software update. And by the time most riders noticed, the door was already locked. The key was already on the other side. Before 2006, a home mechanic with a climber manual, a vacuum gauge set, and basic hand tools could perform virtually any repair on a motorcycle. Carburetors, valve clearances, brake bleeds, ignition timing, all of it in your garage on a Saturday morning with coffee. Then the EPA's Tier 1 emission standards took effect. Carburetors disappeared. The ECU, the engine control unit, became the gatekeeper of everything. And the manufacturers realized something. If they controlled the ECU, they controlled your maintenance bill. If you own a 2019 BMW R1250GS, here is what happens when the check engine light comes on. You pull out the $15 generic Bluetooth OBD2 scanner that works on every car built since 1996. You plug it in. Nothing. It does not recognize the bike. BMW uses a proprietary 10-pin round connector. The scanner was useless straight out of the case. The nearest dealer quotes $150 minimum just to read the code. The code was triggered by a loose fuel cap. The repair took 2 seconds. The dealer visit cost $150 for 5 minutes of computer time. That is the inconvenience. Here is the financial math. Harley-Davidson recommends replacing the brake fluid in ABS-equipped touring bikes every 2 years. On a road glide or street glide built after 2008, that flush requires a dealer-only tool called the Digital Technician 2 to actuate the ABS pump and cycle the solenoid valves. You cannot manually bleed air from the isolated hydraulic paths inside the ABS module. The manual bleed method alone does not work. The Digital Technician 2 costs dealers about $10,000 and requires re-authentication over the HDNet network every 14 days. The result? Dealers charge $200 to $300 for an ABS brake flush. Every 2 years, for the life of the bike, the cost of the brake fluid itself is $12. But here is where it gets worse. That $10,000 dealer tool is not even the most extreme example. BMW's ESTA dealer system runs approximately $16,000. Ducati's DDS diagnostic platform is $8,000. These are the tools that read fault codes, reset service reminders, and perform basic calibrations. Procedures that once required a wrench and a service manual now require software that costs as much as a used motorcycle. And the manufacturers have made sure you cannot get it. In December 2022, Indian Motorcycle rolled out the Bosch MG1CA007 ECU in the Challenger, Pursuit, and Chief models. This ECU implements AES-based 128-bit encryption with digital signature verification on every firmware write. If an unauthorized flash is attempted, even a single altered byte, the ECU triggers what the aftermarket community calls kill mode. The motorcycle will not start. The ECU is bricked permanently. The same Power Plus 108 engine in 2020 and 2021 Indians was tunable with a laptop connection. Polaris locked the door in 2022. Then they changed the locks. Then they welded the door shut. This is not an accident. This is a business decision. So what is the answer? Smart Riders found it, and the manufacturers do not want it in every forum thread and garage conversation it currently occupies. The answer is a tiered ecosystem of brand-specific, aftermarket diagnostic tools that replicate 70 to 90% of dealer functionality at 1 to 10% of the cost. These tools exist, they are legal, they work, and for most common service tasks they work as well as the dealer's setup. Here is how to build your toolkit by brand. If you ride BMW, you have two strong options. MotoScan is an Android app paired with a UniCarScan UCSI 2100 Bluetooth adapter. Total setup cost, $118. It reads and clears fault codes across all BMW systems, performs service resets, displays live sensor data, and handles ABS actuation for brake bleeding. The GS911 from Hex Innovate in South Africa runs $209 to $400, and it handles everything MotoScan does, plus component adaptation and more advanced coding. One purchase, unlimited use. The $250 service Reset the Dealer charges for is gone. Triumph Riders have Dealer Tool, a UK-developed software and cable package that runs about $120. It covers service resets, fault codes, live data, and ABS bleeding. Triumph is also one of the few manufacturers that uses a standard OBD2 interface, which means broader compatibility than most. For Honda, Kawasaki, and Suzuki, Heeltech Electronics in Hungary makes the OBD tool, priced at $220. It covers diagnostics, service resets, and live data across those three brands with a single tool. For ECU flashing and tuning on Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki, Vehicu produces a dedicated flash kit at $380. That kit handles unlimited ECU reflashes. V-CycleNut in Linden, Washington, David Verdecchia's operation offers a mail-in Yamaha ECU flash service at approximately $200, with lifetime reflashes included on that ECU. Here is the proof moment. To flash the ECU on a 2018 Yamaha MT-09. To unlock the full rev range, remove the secondary throttle plate restriction, and optimize the fueling map, you need an FTECU cable that costs $47, the free FTECU software, and a laptop. The full process takes 11 minutes. The dealership charges $350 for the same reflash using the exact same data connection. 11 minutes, one laptop, $47. That is it. Here is why these tools work and why the manufacturers have not been able to stop them. Modern motorcycles use a CAN bus, a controller area network. It is a digital backbone that connects every sensor, every control module, every system on the bike. The CAN bus standard, ISO 11298, has no built-in encryption at the communication layer. The traffic travels in plain text. What manufacturers lock down is a specific layer of the diagnostic protocol called UDS Security Access, that is ISO 14229, Service 0x27. Before a scan tool can perform right actions on the ECU, such as clearing codes, resetting service flags, actuating ABS solenoids, or flashing firmware, it must complete a seed key authentication exchange. The tool requests a challenge number from the ECU. The ECU returns an encrypted seed. The tool must return the correct key, which is calculated from a manufacturer-specific algorithm. That is the core of the security model. Aftermarket toolmakers reverse engineer those seed key algorithms. Once the algorithm is known, the tool replicates the handshake exactly. The ECU cannot tell the difference between an $8,000 dealer terminal and a $220 third-party scanner because both speak the same language. Read operations, pulling fault codes, reading sensor values, and monitoring live data are almost universally open. The lockout primarily applies to write operations, the ones dealers charge you for. The only exception is the Indian Bosch MG1CA007. That ECU implements encryption at the firmware level, not just the handshake. That is why it requires physical bench removal and specialist access. RVS Performance in the aftermarket community spent approximately 18 months cracking the security. The service runs $399 and up and requires shipping your ECU, but it works. And now the manufacturers are fighting back because this community is costing them money. The primary lobbyist is the Motorcycle Industry Council, MIC. It represents Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, BMW, Ducati, Harley-Davidson, KTM, Indian, and virtually every other manufacturer sold in the United States. The MIC has secured motorcycle exclusions from right-to-repair bills in New York, Minnesota, Maine, and Massachusetts. In January 2026, they submitted a formal letter to Congress urging that motorcycles be explicitly excluded from the Repair Act, H.R. 1566. Their own 2023 accomplishments report listed securing powersports exclusions from digital right to repair bills as a victory. The MIC's stated justifications are safety, emissions compliance, and cybersecurity. Here is the counter-evidence. The EPA's Clean Air Act does not require electronic control unit encryption. The anti-tampering provisions in Section 203A3 focus on emissions outcomes, not on the security architecture manufacturers use to achieve them. Manufacturers voluntarily encrypt electronic control units, sometimes called ECUs, then claim the law requires them to lock you out. It does not. The EU proves the safety argument false. Regulation 168/2013. Article 57 legally requires every motorcycle manufacturer to provide unrestricted diagnostic access and repair information to independent mechanics as a condition of selling bikes in Europe. European motorcycles have not crashed in greater numbers. European riders have not poisoned the atmosphere. They simply pay less at independent shops. As for the cybersecurity argument, controller area network traffic, called CAN bus traffic, on production motorcycles is not encrypted in transit. A diagnostic connection over CAN is an open channel. The locks are on dealer revenue, not rider safety. The money trail is the clearest evidence. Labor rates at motorcycle dealerships now run $100 to $250 per hour. Independent shops charge $55 to $90. That gap is not skill, it is software access. And the DMCA gives manufacturers a federal enforcement hammer to protect it. Under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, Section 1201, circumventing copy protection on electronic control unit firmware is a federal offense, up to $500,000 in fines and 5 years in prison. While a repair exemption has existed since 2015 and was renewed in October 2024, the anti-trafficking provision remains. It may be legal for you to use a circumvention tool. It is legally ambiguous for anyone to sell you one. That ambiguity is not an accident. The EPA adds another layer. Harley-Davidson paid a $15 million settlement in 2016 and 2017 for selling 340,000 Screaming Eagle tuner devices. Cobb Tuning was fined $2.9 million in September 2024 for 81,000 aftermarket tuners. The message to every toolmaker in the aftermarket is clear. Step forward with the wrong product, and the government becomes the manufacturer's enforcement arm. Here is what you can do, and here is what it will cost you if things go wrong. The DMCA repair exemption, renewed in October 2024, is valid through October 28, 2027. It legally permits you, or an independent shop working on your bike, to circumvent ECU protections for diagnosis, repair, and lawful modification. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, a federal law, prohibits manufacturers from voiding your warranty simply because you used a third-party tool or an independent service. The FTC enforced this against Harley-Davidson in October 2022. Harley-Davidson lost. The precedent is there. At the state level, Minnesota introduced a bipartisan bill in March 2026 to add motorcycles to its existing Digital Fair Repair Act, backed by ABATE of Minnesota. The Repair Act in Congress, H.R. 1566, includes motorcycle language despite MIC lobbying to remove it. The American Motorcyclist Association is on record supporting it. Now, the risks. Honestly, the anti-trafficking provision of Section 1201 creates a legal gray area around every aftermarket toolmaker. None of the major tools, FTEU, GS911, Motoscan, and Heeltech, have faced confirmed legal action, but the EPA's appetite for enforcement is growing. $55.5 million in civil penalties across 172 cases from 2020 to 2023 is not a quiet enforcement environment. On the Indian Bosch MG1CA007, a failed unauthorized flash attempt bricks the ECU. Replacement cost is likely $500 to $1,500 or more. Do not attempt bench flashing without RVS performance or an equivalent verified specialist, and the DMCA exemption expires in 2027. If it is not renewed in the Copyright Office triennial rulemaking, circumventing ECU protections reverts to a federal crime. Watch that date. The window is open. Use it. What is the most basic repair your dealer told you requires their diagnostic computer? Drop it below. Include the year, make, model, and what they charged. Hit subscribe if you believe the person who owns the motorcycle should own the right to fix it. Keep your hands dirty.